Out. Yes, you can record it. That's fine. I'm not starting over. I'm sorry.
Now you have to go all the way
I'm just
back.
going to say you missed the really important part where I was nasty, but I'm good now. So by show of hands, how many of you met your significant other or partner through a referral? Somebody introduced you. Okay, no, there we go. There's one. That's right. How many of you met your divorce attorney through a referral? Oh, I'm kidding, but it's the way to find it too. And then how many of you met your significant other through like a free classified or online internet or, okay, so Dave and Stephanie. And we did, Marlene and I met on JDate. How many of you met your significant other or partner, business or otherwise, at a party or an event that you did not want to go to? There's more hands. Over the years, my mom used to make fun of me because I always asked people questions, even when I was little. And the funny part about it didn't matter. And like I'd be in the house and there's a guy outside our window washing the windows. I was like 9 or 10. And she goes, you know, what are you doing? So I'm talking to the window guy. And she says, why? And I said, well, you know, he's just got out of prison. This is the only job he can get. And she goes, why would anybody tell a 9-year-old? And I said, because I asked. So I've always been interested in the story. And the part about networking has to do with if you're unlikable and all about you and don't care what anybody else is doing, you just want what you want, networking is going to be really hard because most people don't resonate meeting people where whatever reason they meet them, they're not going to be liking and trusting you. If you are empathetic or care about people, you can learn the skills to be a really good networker. And it does intelligence, it does require some empathy. It requires your ability to want to hear the story. Let's face it, after we're 13, nobody really asks us what we think. You know, our birthdays become less important. You know, who we are and what we are, people ask less. So when you're that person that says, so tell me about yourself, we like them a lot. And if you are doing networking both personally and professionally, asking people their story is immediately going to put you in a position where they're going to want to see more of you and they're going to want to tell their friends about you. And that being the case, my entire career has been through referral. People had something good happen because I met them and they'd introduced me to a friend and they'd introduced me to a friend. And majority of my friendships have been created are part of my questions. Most of the people that are closest to me in my life are people that I met at a party that I didn't want to go to. I forced myself to go at 6:30 at night to a business mixer. And I met Martha, one of our best friends, 10 years ago this month. We were in a room with 70 people, and the next day we met, and we've been joined at the hip ever since. Stephanie, who's here today, who moved to Maryland, who moved to Vegas, and then moved 5 minutes away again, met me at a breakfast she only went to once. The point is, if you put it off and not do it when you don't want to go, the magic always happens at that thing where you that will mess you up. But you find yourself at home. I congratulate you today getting out of your house on a Sunday to come meet here during a pandemic to hear somebody talk. Is you've done that magic. So make sure you meet somebody today that you would not have normally met. And most of you are going to have to talk to Stephanie and Dave because the rest of you come here. So talk to Stephanie and Dave. She can help you. She can save your life, literally. She's a CPR trainer. We're living through a very special time where a lot of people that were really social, and I can say this because really social before the pandemic. My wife and I both were out at least 4 nights a week doing something. Marlene mostly ceramics and mahjong and all these things that she was doing. I was going to networking meetings and such. When the pandemic hit, I pretty much hunkered down for the first 4 months, wondering like everyone else. But there are new skills we can do on social media that allow us to still do what we did and connect. When people reach out for help, you can introduce them to somebody else. You can, and more importantly, if you need something, put it out there, because the people out there are always looking to pay back. And one of the rules of invitation only was that we only allowed people to join that we knew for a fact were abundant, thinking, and grateful, because those people are always looking to add value because they already feel abundant. You know, Mark plays poker, and you're willing to play a lot more hands when you have a lot of chips. And if you feel good about yourself and have good confidence, you can take the risk and help somebody that you may not have otherwise, because you felt you were, you know, lacking to help people. I've always felt, no matter what's going on in life, that I felt was sitting in front of a big stack of chips. Well, most people thought it went away. It was 2000, and it was not going anywhere. And literally within 90 days, with the help of our friends and our networking people, they all said, hey, have you met the new people that own 25 Score? I remember, because I'm always having a sense of humor, people saying that 25 Score guy's so funny, because, you know, they'd call and say, hi, I'm a longtime member. I said, I never grow tired of hearing that. The funniest thing somebody said is that, I said, what credit card do you want to use to buy your card? And she said, yours. And it was the only time anyone ever said it, but I thought that was hysterical. There's somebody with a sense of humor. I charged her card anyway. I didn't let be mine. So our company, when we took it over, we had to reach out to everybody who had been involved in the past. And like I said, people don't ask people what they're doing and how they're doing. We called every merchant. We contacted the colleges, but all through networking, through our networking groups, through our friends, through our organizations. Now, if you're not connected, which a lot of people here may feel like they're not, they're home, they come out once in a while, you can still network by making sure you attach yourself to people that are. If you have friends that have 4,000 friends on Facebook and you're looking for something, reach out to them and ask, you know, does anybody know where there's an apartment for rent? No, Stephanie did that the other day. And within hours, she had people giving her referrals for apartments that fit the parameters she wanted. And if she didn't ask, she'd be out running around looking at all these different places that may already be rented. People want to help. Reciprocity, and you're familiar with reciprocity, is the second strongest emotion besides love. That when you have someone do something for you, you emotionally attach to want to reciprocate. It's interesting how if you loan people money, they never talk to you again. Isn't that weird? Is it, you want someone to go away? I've done that. I've had people I didn't like. I give them $20 and tell them it's a loan, and I never have to talk to them again. Now, if you do somebody a favor, they feel the same, you know, actually more than money. They feel obligated to somehow return the favor, either refer somebody else or if you need anything. And it's a very powerful, what I call human equity, that if you're adding value everywhere you go, and a lot of people think of networking in the same brush as sales. I'm a salesperson. I'm proud of that. My definition of sales is to listen to everybody, listen to their problems, find the solution, and sell it to them. In networking, it's not about introducing yourself and saying, look, I'm a great insurance person. It's about saying, what keeps you up at night? What do you worry about? And what challenge are you trying to overcome? And if you know enough people, you can refer people to help them. And they are forever thinking about that act of kindness. So if you ever, you know, you have, how many of you watched them? Everybody's watched, you know, what is the name of Jamie Stewart? A Wonderful Life. Everybody's watched the one, I forgot the name. Now I know I'm old. It's A Wonderful Life. I always felt that if my life was navigated, that at the end of my life, I needed help and put out a big bucket for all the people I helped before, that bucket would be full. I feel that way right now, that if I ever needed anything, which I rarely do, that people would come forward and say, I remember 10 years ago, you helped me find a job, or you helped me do this or that. If you act in that way, no matter who you are, no how big your reach is, people will gravitate towards you. Now, when it comes to business networking, if I went to a new town knowing no one, the networking skills that I've learned along the way would allow me to be where I am within 90 days. And what I would do is I would go to events that I felt were community recognized events. I would watch the room. I'd find the person that everybody's hugging and everybody's talking to. I would wait my turn. I wouldn't do the old fashioned, here's my card, call me thing. I would say, it's obvious many people know you. What would you say is your biggest asset, why these people gravitate towards you? I'd make a note on the card. I would say, it's very great meeting you. I know you have other people to meet. I'd like to call you later. And then I'd go to the next group of people and I would say the same thing to the next one that had a lot of people around them. And then I would say, do you know Mary over there who has that crowd? Have you met her? And if they hadn't, I would introduce them. After 4, 5, 10, 15 of these meetings, I would be looked at as the connector, because both of them had big crowds, but they were always so busy hugging everyone they know, they didn't meet the other influencer that was nearby. Now, in that case, you have no assets. It's just you asking questions. You don't really need to be really smart. You simply have to ask the story. So it seems to be that most people think you have to be extraordinary to be extraordinary. It really is. You go to things you don't want to go to. You meet people that people seem to like. You find a way to add value to them. And then you follow up and say, it was nice meeting you. The chances are within a very short period of time, you're the person they're going to be inviting to the next event. One, because they're selfish and they don't have time to meet everybody. And two, they know they're going to be connected to the people you think are important, but you started off with nothing. You had no friends. You became personable and they like you. You don't need to be smart. Everybody thinks that you have to be really outgoing. I have a friend named Carol, who's an insurance agent. If she's listening, she's going to know who she is. She's really quiet. She could be Eeyore's sister, okay? Thanks for noticing me. But she is probably one of the best networkers I know. I can't tell you how many times I've seen her bring somebody who's brand new to or any event and bring them over to meet me or one of the other 10 really networked connected people.
Who's there?
No one.
Turn off your microphone.
It's been 20 minutes.
We won though.
Is that they can hear it or I hear that?
You play DJ Wild? And? Are you hungry?
I'm hungry. You're gonna mute his microphone? See, when you're the rabbi, you feel entitled to speak whenever someone's in your temple. And I think that's probably appropriate. Did they answer him? Were they hungry? Probably. Okay, good. I met Mark through networking. I met Stephanie through networking. I met almost everyone I know in my friendships. You don't know the lifelong friends you're going to meet.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
you're welcome.
It's like your side man.
You should go to poker games that you weren't invited. Right, Mark? I met Mark through the men's club. I have no kids in Temple. They're all 30 now. So there's no bar mitzvah, motivation, but I got involved with the Temple and Mark said I was like the youngest person or the quickest person to become a member of the board. I think it was like 3 weeks.
I don't know. You went to the bathroom.
Well, maybe since then they've dragged people off the street, but I felt pretty close to being dragged off the street. But, and I appreciate that. We moved out here and I started networking back in 2000, when I moved out here, back here in 2001, because at that point I wasn't involved in any organizations and I wanted a circle to be in. But there's so many opportunities to network now. There's virtual, there's in person. If you're in personal life, you're retired, get involved in groups that have centers of things you're interested in, whether it be crafts or religion or a skill. Marlene's circle through networking has been mostly through ceramics and Mahjong. And she's got more close friends than I do from that. I have two, and they're both here. No. One of the qualifications to be my close friend is you have to go anywhere I'm publicly speaking, and so far they're 100%. So I want to open up to see if there's any questions so far, as far as, you know, or statements about experiences you had in networking. You pay for a reason to learn something, or someone made you come. Raise your hand if someone made you come here today. I had to come because I was a speaker. Right, so I qualify as I had to be here. However boring I am right now, it would have been a lot more boring if I wasn't here. I'm just telling you. But what do you want to accomplish during this time that's changed so much? Does anybody have? Go ahead.
Maybe a question to kick it off. So a lot of times we, you know, maybe going to a networking group, and maybe it's to, you know, expand a business, or you're trying to meet other people. And we're always trying to wonder, hey, how do I kind of maintain that balance between being interested enough in the other person, which we should be, and sharing enough information about ourselves and, you know, what might be helpful to us, without making it sound like, hey, I'm just here to, you know,
Right.
say what I do. And that's, I know what I was talking
And
about.
there's a lot of reasons for, if you're networking for a business, you want to find out if you're not really selling the people that are there. You're really going there to have them trust you to refer their large database of friends that might need it, because only people buy a house every once in a while, and transmissions even less, you hope. But you want to be genuinely interested in their story. The thing about networking is not the day you met them. It's when you followed up within 3 days. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met that I thought were fascinating, but never called. You know, and I'd call them and say, hey, it was nice meeting you. I usually try to message. Now it's easy. You meet somebody on Facebook, you message and say, hey, I'm really glad. The biggest compliment is when you meet somebody and they search you out on Facebook and ask to be your friend. You now know that they want to be connected going forward. And that's, and don't accept it if you didn't like them. I mean, because you don't want to make comments. But the idea is that if my goal in life is to change the way people think in an hour, that's what I do every day. Is, you know, the whole party you don't want to go to thing. I have people yell at me all the time showing up to my events. Ed, I was really tired. I'm here. All I can hear is your voice in my head saying, the more you didn't want to go, the more you have to. And then they meet somebody. I said, don't just go because you're tired, but make sure you meet somebody you've never met before. Stephanie went to the chamber breakfast once. Out of 30 breakfasts I went to, she went once. And we became friends for life. What happens if I hadn't gone? There'd be nobody here I know. Marlene. But she has to come because she's married to me. So I wanted to take away the mystery of why networking sounds so business related. It's not. We are people. We like people. If you're lucky enough to have people want to hang out with you because they have fun and they feel good about themselves, it's much easier to make good friends. Being a friend is something you have to reciprocate. If they need something, you jump through hoops to help them. And if you need something, they do the same. The people closest to us, we're always asking each other for stuff. We're older. When the pandemic hit, we don't have kids that live here. We never felt alone. The people closest to us would ask us every day when they went to the store, do you need anything? We never asked them. Now we do. Now I'm going to Costco, or you're going to Costco, will you pick something up? But in the beginning, we didn't have to ask. They said, I'm going to the store, what do you need? And that wasn't by accident. We had friends that we had met through networking that became part of our family. And life is about having those relationships. If you're not reciprocating and you're always worried about what's in it for you, your life is not as enriched, because people just stay away from people that complain and worry and aren't bringing back value to the table. And if anything, you step away with is saying, would I be friends with me? Would I want to be married to me? Are the skills and the things that I do attractive to me? And if the answer is no, you need to change some of that behavior. So when you do go out and do networking or you do reach out to people, you're one of those people they look forward to seeing. And we forget because we're all working from not a big pile of chips in front of us. We feel like we can't go out because our health could be at risk. We feel like we don't have enough money to do the things our friends can do. The reality is there's an old saying, and this is really good for the business people, that people will make within 10% what the 5 people that spend the most time with don't make. Think about that. If 4 of your friends are multimillionaires and you're making 50 grand a year, and you're hanging out with these guys all the time, and they like spending time with you, what's going to happen? Yeah, but you know what else is going to happen? They know and trust you, and they want you around as much as they can. So all of a sudden, you're getting opportunities to go into business with these people because they want you to be around and they know you have skills. If you hung around with people who are making 20 grand a year and they're barely making it, there's no opportunity there. You're all struggling. But if you're adding value to people that have more resources, so the idea is if you feel like you're not getting where you want to be, you want to network with people that you aspire to be like. And it's not necessarily monetarily. My guess is the multimillionaires are also people adding a lot of value to someone, because you don't make money by not adding some value. But make sure you open up the pool to people going to events and going to situations where the opportunity to meet those people. And even if it's you just want companionship, maybe your big goal is to find a better Scrabble player because you like playing Scrabble and you want to play with somebody else that's really good. Or Mahjong, you're a Scrabble player?
No, canasta.
Canasta.
Yes.
Okay, those are my networking arena that watches on playback. There's a woman here that wants to play canasta. Several. So contact me and I'll connect you guys together and you can play both online or in person if you want. So how are we doing on time? We're okay? Any other questions?
Well, all those points, because we know, now on social media, there's, meetups. So for example, if somebody does want to learn how to play canasta or chess.
There are
whatever,
so many ways. My son learned how to play chess on a battle chess game and became a champion at 5. Now you can go online and play Mahjong. You can play any game you want to play.
Temples have classes.
Yeah, Temple classes.
Senior centers.
Right, and Meetup has it, and then the Facebook groups are awesome. You can join a Facebook group for almost any interest you can think of. The weird part is it's gotten so small, but people's thinking of what they can do has gotten even smaller. They're afraid to step out into that vast of interactions with people. Oh, and you asked me earlier, at what point do you stop, selling or injecting? You should come right up to where they think you might be a stalker and then stop. I thought about when you asked that question, is that, how do you know? It's really not about selling yourself at that first meeting. It's about showing that you're interested and you're engaged. The follow-up is where you really need to say, hey, I enjoyed meeting with you. Would you like to go get a cup of coffee? And if they say yes, it means they like you enough to spend the time. Areas in personal life that you can network to get things done. If you have, I met a really great handyman posting on Facebook. Should I use copper or PEX when redoing my shower? I must have gotten 60 responses. I had no idea anything about PEX, which is like the replacement for copper. And a handyman messaged me, said, I would use PEX and I can put it in for you. So he came over, he quoted on it. He did an exceptional job. And I ended up referring him to Stephanie's used him. I referred him to maybe 10 or 15 people. Does great work, reasonably priced. And if he hadn't responded to my ask, and there was 50 people that responded to that post. Why people are so interested in pipe, I don't know. I posted something the other day. Engagement is important. So if you want to be involved with people, Even commenting on a Facebook page, if you put something clever in there, someone's going to see you there and they may comment to you, and you've now made a new friend because you think the same way. It's really quite interesting how you can engage with people that turn into something more meaningful. Yeah.
What if you're not comfortable engaging? What can you do?
Well, the main reason people aren't, let's talk about why you're not comfortable. Most people feel like they're not good at small talk. Raise your hand if you feel like you're not good at starting a conversation and maintaining it. I'm raising my hand to get you to raise it because I don't have a problem with that, but
He doesn't.
I don't. The only reason I'm able to do what I do is I'm shameless. It's really hard to embarrass me. Stupid. If they laugh, I don't care if it's about me. As long as they laugh, it's good. But the engagement with people isn't about you. It's really about them. Think about the last time somebody intriguingly asked you questions about you, how good that felt. You know, what did you do for a living and how long did you do it? And what do your kids do? And what's your favorite thing to do? And when's your birthday? Mine's the same time. These questions, open-ended questions, if you could change something in your life, what would you change? What was your scariest day? You could learn a list of 20 questions that you would ask anybody new. Best thing to do is look up one of these things, 50 questions to get to know somebody you're dating better. Type it in Google, you'll get 20 or 30 exam questions to ask. Pick 10 that you like, and then the ones that resonate with something you'd want to hear. And when you're done, they're going to think you're an amazing conversationalist. And all you did was ask questions. You didn't tell them anything about yourself. And they don't even realize that. They just know this person was so amazing. They listened to me. It seems too easy, doesn't it? A little bit. That you can be a very effective networker just by asking really good questions. Same thing goes for sales. Don't tell them what you know, ask them what they know. At the end, they're going to trust you and want to buy from you. And they're going to want you to hang out. When I was selling phone equipment, I'd go into offices where the secretaries know that the boss will not meet with you longer than 15 minutes. You ever meet those people? You go on an appointment, usually they're attorneys or really high-level business people. So you have 15 minutes to make your point and then you're out of here. And I'd always tell them, I'd take my watch off. It's 10 o'clock. If I'm here past 10:15, it's because you asked me to stay. And I'd go to these guys are the meanest, toughest business people. And 2 hours later, I walk out of their office. We talk about 15 minutes about phones and 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes about what they wanted to have happen to their business. And the secretaries and people in the office would look at you and say, you know, who are you? And why are you able to spend so much time there? I ask a lot of really good questions. And in doing so, people learn stuff. So study. It's not like it happens. If you're not really good at this, do what I told you to do. Now, the other thing is, if you're in business and you are going to become a point person, where the idea is, the goal is to have people call you and say, who do you know do this? Who do you know do that? Because then they're going to call you when they need what you do, whether it's sewing or it's go to a party or a game or some business related thing. If you don't know anybody, call people like me. Call them and say, Ed, I met this guy, he's looking for a good real estate person, or someone's looking for a roofer.
Is your number listed?
I am so listed. Now you need to do Ed Bernstein 25 score. If you do Ed Bernstein by itself, you're going to get the personal injury lawyer in Vegas.
Yeah, okay.
I did it last night. There were 4 pages of him and 3 pages of me. But if you put 25 score or SCV, you'll get my number is listed everywhere. And in my business number, which I answer all the time, is really easy. You know the name of my company, right? 25 score. It's 661-25 score. So you won't forget that phone number. I told a lot of people that at different groups. And there was this one gentleman. I mean, you tell people what to do. I told people, don't ask for a raise. Tell your boss what you've learned since the last raise and how much money you've made for the company. And he'll tell him you want a quarter of what you've made as a raise, and they'll give it to you. No one has ever done it. I've told thousands of people to do it, but they don't do it. So I go to a networking group about networking and said, if you don't, and about a guy who I don't remember started texting me. You know anybody who does landscaping? And I give him a number. And then I didn't know who he was. I just thought it was somebody I knew. And then I realized it was one of those people at the lunch. I thought it was for him. It was for one of his clients. So every time he needed something, he would text me what he's looking for. He'd pass the name along, and he looked like he was so connected. Because every time someone asked him, they don't care. And I told him, tell the people that I'm referring to you, that I referred you, and that you'd like to refer them directly from now on. It sounds too easy, but that's all it takes. Find a good canasta player, tell your friends about it. A good Scrabble player, don't tell your friends, you're going to lose. You don't want to bring in a ringer. But I'm very available to community for any public speaking, for any consulting. My business is mostly promoting and advertising in the Santa Clarita Valley. I do a lot of personal consulting for fee-based, for those people who don't want to discount their stuff and want access to the information we have available. Majority of it is basically promoting local schools and charities to make money and for businesses to be seen. Any other questions? Yeah.
Are you on the phone all day and answering texts?
When I get them and when people call me. I'm not calling out as much as I used to, but I'm planning on doing more now. It's kind of like when not calling your mom.
I think somebody wanted that.
Okay. It's kind of like calling your mom. You don't call her for a while, and the longer you don't call her, the more she goes, how come you didn't call me?
Right.
You feel that way with business. If you haven't talked to a business client for a while, usually I start off with an apology saying, I haven't been reaching out, but I wanted to make sure I did.
Mhm.
But it's important. He was right. Connections to people, if we could live off of binging Netflix and eating at home, we'd all be very happy. But I call Dave and Dave calls me, have you seen this one yet? And sharing our opinions of what the shows were. And yeah.
I was born in Mexico City, spent my youth there, and it was very people oriented. The Latin, plus all our parents came from Europe. So it was people oriented. It wasn't online oriented.
Right.
And I have a lot of trouble with this society, everything going online. I also have trouble with Facebook.
What kind of trouble with Facebook?
Well, I am on Facebook with absolutely no information who I am, so I can spy on my granddaughters.
Well, can I make a suggestion? Let me make a suggestion. And I didn't say this, but it's public. Take a picture of a girl with a duck face like this and make that your profile, and all your nieces and nephews will accept it. And then you can spy without them knowing.
I'm just not comfortable.
Yeah.
With all that online, and people don't answer emails, they don't answer phone calls.
They're not looking. It's not you.
Everything is text. I find everything so impersonal. So
Believe me, text is not impersonal.
it's not.
But you don't have to network online.
You don't have to. The thing is, when you can't go out because your immune system, you can still reach out. But realize text seems impersonal. But I've heard of relationships stopping from the wrong emoji. It's a very personal thing if you don't know what you're saying. My son told me, don't use memes. Those pictures with things, the IOTA kid and Oliver. And he said, why? I thought it was really cute. He said, because they have meaning. It's not just you thought it was cute. You may have just said they're a jerk without knowing it, because the meme says you only send these to your jerks. So it's a matter of how you communicate. It's like, for example, there are rules. You don't use caps because it sounds like you're yelling. You don't send eggplants because you don't know what that means.
What?
Don't send an eggplant. Yeah.
Oh, change the subject.
Change the subject.
How can you network without being online? What are some ideas that people maybe hear now?
Well, not in person. You're doing it today. You've gone in person to an event. Do you all know each other here? How many of you know everybody else in the room here?
Who's a canasta player?
We know 2 canasta players now.
I would like to, but I haven't played in years.
Okay, there's a trainee.
Okay, I gotta take your name and number.
Right. No, tell her, text it to me. But it's good. It used to be you had to write down the number. Now you hand them your phone, you put the number and put your name in there. Yes.
I'm just saying we don't have those skills. So.
Well, okay. Your mental block for text, your mental blocks on Facebook is about, do I have anything to say? It's not that you don't know how to type. You do it. It's a matter of, you don't think it's you. It's not what I do. But if you want to communicate with the world, I mean, I told my son to call a guy that had a meme company to work for him. And he says, no, I'll text him. And then I said, no, call him. That's how you connect with people. Call them. And then I wife, and I said, what's the best way to get a hold of Tommy? And do you know what she said? That's all he responds to. You want to communicate with people on and offline, saying, hey, I like you. I want to communicate with you. What is your favorite form of communication? If they're over 60, they're going to say phone call.
Yeah.
If they're 50 to 60, they're going to say email or call me.
Right.
If they're 30 to 50, they're going to say text me.
Text me.
Text me.
Right.
Because we always have our phone. We don't always check our email. We always check our text.
Right.
It's simply immediate. And then if they're 25 to 45, as my son said, they're not going to answer you anyway. They're just humoring you if they tell you how they communicate. I got to tell you a cute story. I was having a conversation with my older son, and I told him it's weird. In the past, most of my friends were within 10 years of my age. I'm 61, so it'd be 55, 52 to 72 would be my. In the last 10 years, the average age went down to like 35. So some of my friends were 21, 22. They were in networking groups with me and stuff, and they would help me with some of my stuff that I don't know because I'm young, I'm older. And my son stopped me. He said, Dad, anyone under 25 that's talking to you is humoring you. And I can't say this because it's public, but I said something about, yeah, whatever. And I said, no, these are real relationships. We talk all the time. He goes, Dad, anyone under 25 that's talking to you is just humoring you. So I said, I'm done talking to you. So for the next 3 months, I was meeting with my friends. There were 20 to 25, and I'd meet new ones, and Brittany and some of the other people that I talk to all the time. I would, about 20 minutes in, I go, are you just humoring me? And they go, no, why would you say that? I said, because my son said anyone under 25 is just humoring me. And it got to there's about 6 people I said that to. And I said, do you know what I want to do? I want to do a Facebook Live on speaker and have you all call him, and you're not just humoring me. And they said, let's do it. And every time they'd be together, they go, let's do it now, Ed. And I never did it. And one day he came up to my house and I told him, do you remember telling me this? He says, vaguely, I don't think, I never said that. I said, you didn't say it once, you said it twice. You said they're just humoring me. And I said, I was going to get these 6 people to, he said, that would have been really funny, Dad. And I said, I'll tell you what, it's 10:30 on a Saturday night. I'm going to call Brittany, who's one of the ones I spent a lot of time with, and you can talk to her. So I called Brittany and went straight to voicemail, figuring she's on the phone with her boyfriend or something. I left a message, hey, Brittany, this is Ed. I have a question for you. And 30 seconds later, she calls me right back. I put it on speaker so we could hear her talking. And I said, Brittany, my son's in town. She said, which one? The one that works with you or the one in San Diego that thinks we're just humoring you? And I said, the one in San Diego. I said, will you talk to him? And she said, sure. On the phone, he talked to her for maybe a minute and a half, handed the phone back to me. And I had some questions to ask her. So I was talking to her, went in the other room to talk to Marlene, came back into the room 30 minutes later. I was just hanging out with Brittany. He goes, Dad, I believe you. And I said, why? He says, because there's no one on the planet other than you that I'd spent 30 minutes on the phone with. So just the fact that she chatted with me on Saturday night for a half hour. It doesn't matter how old somebody is. If you have wisdom, which we all have, and willing to share it, you can build long-lasting relationships with people. And I hope you think about that in your interactions in the following weeks, that where you can add value, advice. Oh, and what you should always say when you're talking to somebody, especially younger than you, can I make a suggestion? For the answer. If they say no, don't give it to them. Permission-based, that way you know when you give your wisdom, whether you're charging for it or not, they're listening because they gave you permission to share your wisdom. If not, you're just lecturing. And nobody likes to be told what, including me. That's Marlene. There's stuff at the house that's not done right now because she told me to do it.
Right.
There's a handyman.
You know, the wife's comment is, you should want, I shouldn't have to tell you. I appreciate your time today. I hope I covered most of the things I wanted to do.
So another question, actually, this was from Bill Guthrie, and I'll try to paraphrase it as best. So question is, how kind of meetings, perhaps live meetings, so in-person meetings, going back to that Zoom, how does one participating, making sure, you know, they're getting notice, they're having contribution in it? And, you know, what's the best way to do that?
It's harder.
Yeah.
It is harder. I find that being a big mouth at meetings live is easy.
Mhm.
Being a big mouth on a there are ways to do it, and this is a technical thing. If someone's talking and they add to messaging capability, chat,
Yeah.
and don't do it the whole group. You can do it the whole group and say, hey, anybody that needs this, I have this available, and then everybody there gets that, and they can copy it before the meeting's over. And even then, when the meeting's over, you don't have it anymore, so you have to copy it.
Right.
But if you direct message somebody with your contact information at the beginning of the meeting saying, hey, look, I know who you are and I've always wanted to meet with you. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee. Would it be great to meet up? You're not disrupting the meeting. No one else sees it. But you can direct message everyone feel it's appropriate.
Right.
But that's the way to be seen without looking like you're the loudmouth. Zoom really has curtailed the amount of interaction you can inject. Mute. Some people don't even have a picture,
Sure.
you know, and some people have a picture of them stacking interested. Move. They're just like that. So yeah, you would interact through text. Text, I know, I like it, but if you're on a Zoom, text. Any other questions?
I just have a comment, because something you said cracked me up and it made me think of my own son, the whole story you told about the
Humoring me?
humor in you, right? It's 100% something.
It wouldn't be as funny if it was fake. It's true.
Yeah, so just a funny thing to share if anybody has kids in that 30, 20, 35 range. So my son has this way of really annoying me with using his slang with me. So, you know, if he'll call me out, yo, so, you know, or send me a thing. And it's so annoying. It's so utterly annoying.
What did he say? Yo, so?
Huh?
What's up? You should answer the phone. What's up?
I started doing that to him. Yeah. And he said, you must stop, Mom. You must stop.
You're ruining it for me.
And
Yeah.
you ruined words.
You start doing.
You stop doing this, you're completely ruining it for me.
You know, you really want to mess it up? Go in Urban Dictionary and find the most newest terms. Now, my wife yells at me every time I tell a girl that her eyebrows are on fleek because it's like 10 years old, but they still know what I'm saying, that their eyebrows look good, but it's just an old term. Things are changing a lot, and but you understand one thing. I have an old sales book that I have from 1935, and everything, it's called the Miracle Sales Book. Examples they have is someday you may make 15,000 a year, and I'm going, okay, I hope not. But examples are the same. People have not changed. If you solve the problem and you sell the solution, they'll buy it. If you respect people and establish rapport, they will want to be involved. That doesn't change, no matter how much AI we have. Do you know why AI works? It's more empathetic than people. It knows all the answers to what you say. I'm depressed. I'm sorry. Tell me about it. Yeah.
I've got a question, but it's.
No problem. Would know that I'd see something interesting in the community at a religious institution, you know, church and state. Doesn't matter where they meet. We met with MYOB at the Boys Club. We met at restaurants. We met at people's offices. We met at houses. It didn't matter where it was. We were adding value and people wanted to go. And they paid to go to those. They were paying 25, 30 bucks to listen to us talk for an hour and a
So
half.
all this should go on Facebook and.
Go on Facebook, tag the temple and say, I went to the second business series.
Take a picture right now of him speaking and then use that picture.
Yeah.
When you post on Facebook.
Should go to the next one. Now, ask questions, but it's the repeat viewing. This, you know, we have what, 10, 15 people here. The preview of this video could be hundreds or thousands. It was foam in a bathtub. It could be 3,000 views. Foam in their bathtub. Ask Brooke. Yeah, you just don't know what's going to become vital. My talks are all over the place. If people want to see some of this information, we have probably 60 episodes of Mind Your Own Business on KHTS and different places. But the more you post, the more they find out about it.
And you definitely think Facebook over some other mass media?
Well, if you guys are hip on Instagram, I'd say post there too.
That's what I'm saying.
But you're not in that demographic. You could be.
Everything works. It all works.
It all works. It doesn't really matter. I look at everything we do is throwing rocks on a pond or in the ocean.
Okay.
The ripples that happen from everything you touch, some just go against another rock and disappear. Some end up a tsunami at the other end. You don't know, just throw rocks, make those connections. And I can't tell you how many times Marlene and I are out in a store someplace and somebody will come up to us and go, hey, I saw you at Connect to Success and something you said there I think of every day. I didn't know they were listening. I mean,
The kids are that.
yeah, kid. Are you Ed Bernstein? Yes, you came to Connect Success 3 years ago. And every single day I think of something you said there. Boss, that when he discussed something with him, that it was because I was comparing what I'm doing. If you never had somebody to compare, you'd feel you're fine. But if the neighbor has a nicer car, or be grateful for what you have. And people want to be around you. You don't want people that are jealous of what you have. There's so many things you can do to be a better person. Yeah.
So, I mean, like you say, this has always been that people want to be valued and they want people to acknowledge them, their presence and who they are. And as society becomes more roboticized and whatever, maybe the need now is greater.
Oh, it definitely is. The problem is the machines are better at it.
No, but, so you're talking to somebody and saying, so what, what is your life about, or what are you worried about? And in the conversation, they say something that does not your values, could be an anti-Semitic mention of something, could be something in politics that you don't approve of. What do you do? How do you react?
There are ways to say, I have a term called, you know what diplomacy means?
Yes.
Well, I'll give you my definition. Diplomacy is telling someone to go to hell and convincing them they'll enjoy the trip. Somebody says an anti-Semitic remark, right? You don't have to say, I agree with you. You can say, value offering on that. If you meet somebody that you never want to meet again, you don't have to say nice meeting you. You say it was interesting meeting you. There are ways to say anything. They're going to translate into something not negative, but there are ways to say diplomatically that you helped me. I dodged a bullet by getting closer to you, that you're anti-Semitic.
So you're neutralizing. Like,
You're not polarizing. You don't want to polarize people. You know what I mean?
So there's no polarity.
There's no polarity. They don't know your opinion of what they just said. You just said something innocuous. You didn't just go quiet and now they know you're mad. You said, I'm like Bernstein, not meeting a ton of anti-Semitic people.
another
Pretty good reputation of being ethical and good in business.
What about if you're in a group and they're high rollers, right? I mean, they're millionaires.
Right.
billionaires, And they're really as egotistical, big egos. What do you do with those kind of people?
You don't have to engage.
Mhm.
They're not looking for you anyway. They want someone to bow down and tell them how great they are.
Right, exactly.
You know, if you need to get along with them, just tell them they're right. Because they always have to be right. I mean, I've met so many multimillionaires that thought they were brilliant, but they weren't. They were just lucky.
Uh-huh,
And what happens, they lose their millions soon because they think everything they think is brilliant,
right,
but it just turns out they were lucky once.
right.
So if you're really smart, you keep building.
Uh-huh.
And you need to recognize if someone's smart, acknowledge it too.
Mm.
But the problem is the smarter you are, the chances of becoming a narcissist are better.
So when you're with these millionaires, why would they want to ask you about?
I
something
have
that-
more millionaires ask me for advice than anybody because I'm looking at the world from a real point of view. They're looking at it from an ivory tower where they protect everything. I'm on the street and I can tell them what people really think. And I enjoy hanging out with them. It just, the amount of money they make don't make a difference to me. But since I'm that trusted person that they only ask questions to, they want to include me. Someone offered me a lot of money once just to see what I do with it. And I said, I'm not interested
Uh-huh,
because I don't want you overseeing what I did with it.
right.
I don't want to be beholden. It's interesting. You're no different when you're a multimillionaire than when you're poor. Poor people are happier. It's true that if you're fighting for survival, you're not worrying about what the neighbors think of you.
Right.
Seriously. You could care less what the neighbor thinks of your gardening business. But when you're living in a big house and you're buying a new car every year, all of a sudden, everything people think is so much more important.
Right.
Now I know what city.
So they would have even more problems with the ones that are below them, wouldn't they?
They wouldn't. As a matter of fact, I find that the people that have made the most money, they have no friends because a lot of them don't.
Right.
They're afraid they're going to.
Mm.
When I come in, I never want their money, never
Right.
taken their money.
You're-
But I'll tell them they're an idiot. I'll tell them that was really smart.
Mhm.
You know, I'll just tell them honestly what I think. It doesn't matter how much money you have. But he's a billionaire. Well, he's kind of cute. You know, you change your opinion based on what the pocketbook might be. I don't. I've never been materialistic like that. And I've always made more money I ever needed.
Feel.
I'm genuine. I'm about as authentic as you get. And I try to walk what I talk. Some of the stuff I told you today, I may not always follow up in 3 days. I may not always say, thank you for meeting me. But as a rule, I try to.
What do you think about this metaverse coming in? Like they're gonna be-
Well, if everybody's suing you, change your name.
Alter ego,
That's what I think. I think
roll
Facebook changed.
avatars.
It's coming. It's coming. And I own Oculus. I think virtual reality is going to be a way of connecting with people. I play poker with people all over the world, and we chat and we talk, and it's real time and it is connecting. But again, it's people. It's like sitting at a poker table. You're literally throwing the cards in with your hands. So I think in a lot of ways, we're not afraid of the connectivity. Elon Musk said it the other day, AI is what we're afraid of. Because artificial intelligence has gotten to the point, 20, 30 years in brains. They work 100 times faster, work 24 hours a day. Automated AI trucks in your lifetime.
Yeah, already seeing them.
Right. But I mean, you're going to The trucks aren't tired and they see everything. And the only thing that's going to go wrong is some desperate hacker hacking into the trucks and crashing them. But the reality is AI is coming. The connections. Before, and Facebook took over and did it again. And they earned it, just like Amazon earned their business.
But you think that because you can have an avatar that's there, like the avatar will say,
There's no question in my mind that they completely automated the therapy process. Completely automated it. You don't have access to it yet, but every question ever asked, every question answer ever given, every solution to a problem have been addressed in a response. Haven't you getting phone calls now where they're calling you and you know it's not human, but it sounds like it? Is Dorothy there? Smarter and smarter.
interaction.
I agree.
I prefer to go the chemist.
They'll always go. Live music, live comedy. And you'll find out how brilliant. I don't have an iPhone. Turn it off.
Oh.
And I don't do Bixby either. I don't even know why they put that on the phone. But your choice is to say, I don't want change, or decide which part you're going to take.
Right.
You know, I have hundreds and hundreds of CDs and hundreds of DVDs. Am I mad that I spent all that money on those? At the time, they were important. Now, we bought a record player and we were looking at the albums going, which ones do we keep, which one we don't? We go, Alexa, play a song by this artist. And we're going, why do we buy a record player? We just hook up Alexa to the amp and play any album we want to hear. But it's kind of cool putting that record onto the turntable and putting the needle on it. But you have to decide what you're going to embrace and be strong about it, be authentic about it. I like being able to reach more people at the same time. But then I feel I have something to say. If you don't think you have anything to say, you don't need any of that. You can just be close to your family, you know, the basic rules. But everybody's different. And you want to find people like you to hang out with so that you feel like you're not alone. And that's what networking is, adding value, not being confrontational. If you don't listen to a word I said, because they have to be polarizing. Never saw somebody who was in the middle that got elected.
Yeah.
People want to know what you stand for, no matter what.
And then they hate you.
Yeah, they asked me to run for city council out here more than one occasion, because by name recognition alone, I can get elected without a. But I don't want the job. And they asked me, you know, the short list, remember who said, oh, Scott Wilkes went up to, said, they're filling that seat. Are you interested? Are you Republican or Democrat? I said, why? I said, well, I'm not going to answer you. And they said, why are you asking me? He said, because your name's being tossed around. And I said, take my name off the list. Right now, I have a 98% satisfaction with my company that I run. If I become a city council person, overnight, 50% of the people hate me.
Right.
I'm not interested.
Right.
They don't pay enough, you know, so you have to, you want to make change, you better be 4 city council people. So you have a majority. Never got into politics until they started doing stuff stupid. And I haven't gone back in. But thank you for listening to me today. I think I'm over. Yeah, you gave me permission to stay longer.
Refreshments and water in the other room.
Perfect. I told you they have water, Marlene. We brought our own water just in case. Hey, thank you. And tell your friends so that we can pass the series along.
Coming.
And Marlene has business cards if you guys want to keep in touch.
It
Question.
was interesting. I
I
listened.
appreciate you did listen. She just told me it was interesting meeting me. What does that mean? I love it.
That was great.
Thanks. Probably didn't do anything on the script.
Hey, you know,
I had 8 pages.
I always look at us.
It was wonderful meeting you, and very-
You too.
Very inspirational.
You do you.
Where are the cards?
Marlene's got them. My cell phone's on there and so is my office number.
I'll put them up here.
Do you live in Valencia?
Newhall, right off of
I'll
Calgrove.
leave these here.
Okay, we're leaving some cards up here in case they want them.
Those two little canasta people are meeting.
What's that?
The canasta people are talking.
Good. Look, I take responsibility for connecting them.
Was it canasta or pinnacle? or
It was
whatever that you
canasta,
did?
pinochle. I don't think anybody plays pinochle anymore.
Wait,
I'm gonna steal the microphone. Is that okay? I steal
it
your
worked
microphone?
well.
Did it? You can hear me
Yeah,
okay?
it worked really well.
We have to, oh, this looks cool.
Like I have a cell phone here.
It's with the little buttons. Yeah, I gotta. Let's do it. I'm gonna take it.
You guys are going.
No, it's all good. Thanks for coming. My only two friends other than my wife. So other people say they were coming, but they, you know. That was up there? Okay.
For some reason, it was hard. They said that.
You were behind me. I didn't see you.
You can't see your face because you're looking not at Michigan.
The guy that's on there right now owns the chamber out there.
Oh, okay.
And he does a big thing out there called the Antelope Valley Business Deals.
Oh,
He's got 15,000 people viewing there every week.
oh, super, yeah. Yeah, he was glad he joined. I saw Bill, but I wasn't,
I think so.
We haven't had a fourth player now.
Because I saw papers.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You did on mine.
yeah, I recorded it, just, you know, we could upload it, yeah. so- Yeah.
We're gonna put it on the temple site?
I think that,
Put it on the Facebook video.
Mark was gonna put on Facebook, I don't know if it's stored
You can
directly.
store it on your videos on Temple Beth.
Yeah, so I've got the, recording, well, most on the, this-
So it's not.
this few moments before, it went, on my.
I understand, I've gone through
The
that
cloud
process.
storage.
I've done that now.
So I'll ask Mark how, you know, transfer
But I,
it to Facebook, we should be
I'm
able to.
from Michigan.
Yeah.
So the app.
I played in about 3 games in Michigan, during the week.
Good.
I
And then,
didn't use it. I
we
like
can
it.
sit down and chat about what topics. I have a great lady who does in front of the city council, who also is a really good HR person. to talk about.
Here's some general topics. I think that's someone who's, I know from Toastmasters, like a presentation on disaster.
Right. You know, it was really good. Tom Island.
Oh, yeah, he's coming in December.
Right. Tom
Yeah.
Island is like the poster child for autism.
Yeah.
And he's a Toastmaster of some prime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know
Tom,
Tom mostly through on Toastmasters.
great guy.
Yeah.
Also, Terry Mayfield does a great how to work with different people, which is good job.
Frank, I see him, you know, occasionally like over at, Premier, 'cause he's done his, speaker, certification, you know, through Toastmasters.
You're talking about Tom or Bill?
Terry Mayfield.
Oh, Terry Mayfield, yeah. He's a big Toastmaster.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Excellent. But I've had him speak 4 times on that, how to work with difficult people. And it's so effective, that changes the way you look at people forever.
Like.
But I think what this stuff is over the next few days, what's that like?
Asking for a man, I'm like. Yeah.
Because this is, you know, like I want a big television. or something that roll it to another.
Hands for those, and he can put it together.
So you buy this.
Go on Amazon, look
Yeah.
for a rolling TV stand. Any.
Contact Ed, here's his card, because I don't think he has.
His name is, if you, friend me on Facebook, my Facebook is Ed Bernstein. Friend me, and I will message you his Dave Carter's information.
Someone back
Ed
there
Bernstein,
telling me.
STV.